We've got him on the line. Great to have Philly's great Larry Bowa back with us. Larry, thanks for giving us a few minutes today.
All right, my pleasure.
Larry, we're getting excited for All-Star Weekend, so we figured we'd start there before we get into your world of television and what's going on in baseball. You were a five-time All-Star starting in the first game you went to. What was your reaction to making the first All-Star game, and what was that like?
Well, it was incredible for someone that never played high school baseball, never got drafted, and walking in there and seeing the great nameplates on the wall, Johnny Bench, and I mean I could name them all, but it's almost surreal. You walk in and you go, man, I can't believe I'm in this thing. And back then, though, it wasn't like a showcase game. It was for all the marbles, and you had the team president from Beach League go and talk to the respective teams and told them how important it was to win these games. It felt like a playoff game as I look back on it. I mean, there was no hugging guys at second base and stuff like that. You were trying to beat the other team, and it made it a lot more interesting. But I understand what they're doing now. It's basically for the fans and the home run derby and all that, which makes it exciting to watch. But it was a complete different way of playing the game back then when you played an all-star game. It was for everything, and it was about you got bragging rights for a whole year.
You got to start in your first All-Star game, and you mentioned Johnny Bench, but other starters in that game on your team were Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, and Hank Aaron. So what was it like
Right.
to be in the lineup with that group of people?
Like I said, I had to pinch myself, obviously. A guy from Sacramento, California that, it went through everything and never played high school and was very lucky to get an opportunity to play in the big leagues. And then when you look back on it and then you see the guy like a Hank Aaron or Pete Rose, two of the greatest players that ever played, and Johnny Bench, it's almost like a dream. You wake up and you say, man, I can't believe I was in the same locker room with these guys. And, and the more games that I played, it sort of bothers me a little bit when I see guys saying, oh, it's an honor to go, but I don't want to go. Like I said, it's a different way now, but I can't ever imagine making an all-star team and saying I'd rather have the 3 or 4 days off. I just unless you were hurt, obviously, but if you were healthy and everything, I just think it's a great honor. I mean, next to winning a World Series, that's probably the next best thing. Playing in those kind of games with the greatest players of the league that you're lockering next to, and that you basically, when you were growing up, you would watch them play. Those are moments that stick in your mind forever.
You mentioned the way the game was played back then. One of the reasons we wanted to have you on is because of not only the way that you played, but the way that you managed, and to talk about a little bit about the fundamentals of baseball. I mean, when I look around the league, not just in the major leagues, but the minor leagues, you see guys that don't know how to run the bases, bunt consistently, move runners over. When you see the way the game is played today, what is your reaction to it?
Well, I'm very disappointed in the way the game's played because, my job is I'm assistant senior advisor to the GM. So I go to all our home games here in Philly, but then when they go on the road, I go watch our AA, AAA, and A teams. And I'm not really when I watch these games, I watch other things besides if a guy's hitting 300 or a pitcher's throwing 98 miles an hour. I mean, you just said it right there. There's no fundamental baseball anymore. Base running, you see every night, if you want to turn on the television, you see guys running into the outs at third base and not knowing how many outs there are, not throwing to the cutoff man, not being able to have a two-strike approach. When a guy hits a double and you don't want to bunt him, show the manager and the coaching staff and the rest of your teammates, I'm going to hit a ball to the right side to get him over. I don't see any of that. And I really, I don't blame the players. Who I blame are the people that are paying the players and telling them, you just hit home runs, and if you're a pitcher, throw 98, and you're going to get paid. So you can hit 30 home runs, 35 home runs, drive in 80, and hit 200, but strike out 180 times, and it's okay. So we are creating the monster. I don't blame any of the players. Their agents are telling them, hey, this is what you got to do to get a payday, and that's what you should do when you go down to the minor leagues. We don't teach guys, when I say we, I'm talking about the industry, we don't teach them how to win a baseball game. We teach them how to hit a ball as far as they can, throw it as hard as they can, but we don't teach them the fundamentals of how to win a baseball game. The bottom line is you as a team want to have one more run than the other team that you play. That's the last thing in these guys' mind right now. Especially in the minor leagues, they want to impress the front office and say, hey, I hit 30 home runs at Double-A, and I think I'm close to being ready. Even though I struck out 180 times, it doesn't matter. You hear the analytics now saying outs and out. That's the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard in my life. You get a guy on third base, the infield back, put the ball in play. Put the ball in play, get a ground ball. It's an easy RBI. Put your team on the scoreboard. But again, these things are by the wayside now. The game has changed so much that at times, and as much as I love baseball, which that's been my life and everything I have, I owe to baseball. But I'll be honest with you, it's boring to watch baseball right now. Very boring.
It's funny you say that because I took my 4-year-old son to his first game on Saturday, and I wanted to ask you about the pace of play. I can get him to sit still for a little while. He's obviously not the ideal fan. He's a little young right now.
Right.
But what do you think about the pace of play in a game? Even I, as an adult, can't sit down for 4 hours.
Well, I was just going to say, Jason can't sit still for 4 hours
I can't sit
either.
still for 4 hours to watch a game, and that's like on the regular.
Right.
There are 3+ hours for baseball. Are some of the solutions they're trying helping, or are we just throwing things against a wall hoping something will stick here?
I think you said it right there. I think we're throwing things against the wall and hope something sticks. You have the walk-up songs. Guys don't want to get in the box till their walk-up songs played. In the minor leagues, in A-ball, they have a rule that says to throw over to first base, you have to step off. So whether you're a left-hander or right-hander, you have to step off. And if you don't do it, if you step off twice and the third time you don't get him when you step off, it's called a balk and you go to second base. So these rules that they're incorporating are just, like I said, I don't know who's incorporating them, but if they put these rules in the big leagues, if you talk about a boring game now, it's going to be twice as boring. Like I said, I think there's a lot of talented players. There's no question in the minors and the big leagues. I'd just like to see them being taught the right way to play the game, that's all, because they're doing exactly what their agents are telling them to do, and that's why they're all shooting for that big payday, and that's why we have the game where they're at. There was a stat that came out just recently that the average for putting the ball in play now, this is not to call foul balls, 3 minutes and 45 seconds before this is the average when they put a ball in play. So if you get a base hit, I'm talking about it's either a walk, a strikeout, or if a guy hits a home run, but 3 minutes and 45 seconds. And people wonder why defenses are bad, because you're out there, if you're a shortstop and you hear ball 1, ball 2, strike 1, strike 2, you're on your heels, and all of a sudden the guy hits you a hard ground ball, and you're not ready for it because the pitcher's working deep counts. He's striking out guys or walking guys. And so that's why you see routine plays that are maybe they're hit hard, but they should be made at the big level. That's why guys make errors now because of the length of an at bat, the walks and the strikeouts. It's like I said, it's just no one's alert, no one's ready for a ground ball to be hit to them.
Well, and then it's a question of where they even are on the diamond. One of the things that Jeff dislikes the most is the shift, and he regularly rails against that on the show. My question isn't the shift good or bad, but do you think that hitters need to adjust to it, or that there needs to be restrictions on the ability to shift? Where do you come down on that?
Well, if you're a big league player, you should have the ability to manipulate the bat a little bit. Now, I'm not saying every hitter in the lineup. If you've got some power hitters, 3, 4, 5 in your lineup, and they're home run hitters, you probably don't want them to change their swing. But everybody doesn't have 40 home run hitters in the middle of their lineup. So the little guys that hit singles and doubles, they should be able to manipulate the bat. 3 years ago, I took a lineup card up to home plate, and one of the umpires at spring training, I go down every spring and I'm in uniform. So the manager asked me to take the lineup card up. So I took it up. And the umpire, who was Joe West, said to me, he says, "Hey, Bo, when you played, why wasn't there any shifts and everything?" I said, "Because guys like Willie Stargell and Clemente, they could hit a ball the other way anytime they wanted to. You played guys like that to pull, but you didn't shift on them." So, and then the thing that bothers me is, I get it. Once you get to the big leagues, you're probably not going to change your swing. But we should be teaching this in the minor leagues to have a 2-strike approach. When you see a wide open left side of the infield, you should have the ability to hit a ground ball that way. But again, it reverts back to you're not going to get paid to hit singles. and we want to try to hit that ball over the wall, so we're going to hit it through the shift. And yet you still have guys coming back to the dugout saying, oh, man, if it wasn't for that shift, that would have been a hit. Well, the shift's going to be here unless they ban it, which they could very easily do that. But you should have the ability as a big league hitter to make an adjustment like that. And there's absolutely no adjustments made, but guys keep complaining about, oh, man, if that guy wasn't there, I would have another 25 or 30 hits a year.
So is that
so you have to have that ability.
Is that something that can be fixed when you're 18 years old and you get to the minor leagues, or is this something that needs to be there needs to be a developmental program that kids, when they're playing AAU baseball or doing all of that stuff, that's where this all needs to start?
I think that the younger you can adjust to that, the better off you're going to be. And I've watched high school all-star games and that, and they got shifts there too. So I think it starts way back then. And like I said, obviously I never hit home runs, so I had the ability to put the ball in play, but I had no problem. I mean, they would be outs because they didn't shift on me. If I hit left-handed and there was a whole side of the left side open, I got over 2,000 hits doing it the regular way. I'd probably have 3,000 hits because I could hit a ground ball over there anytime I wanted. And to me, that really amazes me, that big league hitters that aren't power hitters. I'm going to give the power hitters a break here because, hey, they hit 40 home runs. I don't want them hitting a single, basically. But there's not that many guys that hit 40 home runs. So you should have the ability to start an inning off and you see a big hole on the right side or left side there to hit a ground ball over there. But again, I don't know. It's the same thing as a two-strike approach. Usually a two-strike approach, you spread out a little bit, you let the ball get deeper on you. I've seen guys in the minor leagues have the same swing, whether it's 3-1 or 0-2. And to me, that's just not teaching. And shame on whoever, and I'm not blaming when they get to the professional baseball. You got that stuff happening in college and high school. Those coaches should be teaching these kids that.
So I wanted to ask you about the substance crackdown this year in terms of the use on baseballs from pitchers and checking. How does this look to you? Did pitchers go too far? Did the league overreact? Where do you look at this?
I'm sure they went too far. There's no question about that. The only thing that I disagree with it is it should have been done at the end of the season last year. It's hard to do it right in the middle of the season. You either start it after the season ended last year or wait until the season's over this year. You're asking guys to make these adjustments right in the middle of the season, and I think that's very difficult to do. It'd be like me telling a hitter, you can't use pine tar on your bat and you can't use batting gloves starting tomorrow. It'd be an adjustment. And I'm not against what they're doing, but I think the timing of it was a little bit weird because of when it happened. Obviously, it seems like it had an impact on some guys with the spin rate and everything, and their spin rate's not as high as it was, and they've been getting hit around a little bit. But I do think that there should be some type of substance, whether every team has it. I think every team should have it, and this is what you can use. You don't want to see guys throwing 98 miles an hour not knowing where the ball goes. The guy gets hit in the head, ends his career. It could basically hit him in the right spot. It could kill him. So I would like to see something where it's modified a little bit, where especially in April and early May in the East Coast when it's cold, you got to have a little grip on that. But I just think the timing of it was bad. I'm not against what they're doing, but doing it right in the middle of the season, I thought it made it very difficult for some of the pitchers.
All right, well, we got to ask the kid from California who's now gone Hollywood. Tell us about tell about us a little bit about. I've watched it a couple of times. I love it. Tell us about how you and Charlie Manuel got together and decided that it was time time for you to start your TV career.
Well, we didn't really suggest to start a TV. Somebody asked us if we do it, and we said, yeah, why not? So, we've been doing our jobs, going around the minor leagues and everything for the last couple of years. We've been together a lot. And he said, you know what, we could do this, and so it's not just all baseball. I mean, we talked to a Temple basketball coach, and we've talked to a rowing team. It's around the city. It's basically, this is a blue-collar city, and we want to get people to understand that it's not just baseball that loves sports. There's other things involved. And so we got involved in it a little bit. And in fact, one of the shows we had Eddie Wade and Ruben Amaro, two ex-GMs here for the Phillies, and we talked about the analytics stuff and how they would do it now. And it's an interesting show. I mean, we have fun with it. We're by no means stars or anything like that, but we're very recognizable in Philly, and we've had pretty good response to it. And so we have fun with it, put it that way. We're not trying to break the bank with anything or anything like that. We're just having a bunch of fun.
Well, see, for somebody like me watching the show, part of watching it is the relationship between you and Charlie. It is so clear. I mean, look, we've seen you at the ballpark. I've seen you when we do the sleep out for the Covenant House. You two genuinely love being around each other and talking baseball, and it seems like just talking anything. What has that relationship meant to you?
It's a great relationship. And I think one of the things that bond us together is we both love the game of baseball, and we both love the game of baseball to be played the right way. A lot of times we get from people in other organizations or even ours saying, "Well, you guys are old school." I'm not into old school, new school. I'm into baseball. We're baseball guys. We like to win. We like to teach fundamentally good, sound baseball. And when no one's talking about when a guy strikes out or a guy hangs a slider, we're talking about the inability, as you said earlier, fundamental baseball. When you don't see fundamental baseball and you don't know how many outs there are, you throw to the wrong base. That's very annoying for people that have been in baseball a long time. And to me, there's no reason for that. We all know this game's hard. It's hard to hit. It's hard to pitch. It's hard to play the game. But the easiest thing to do is not make mental mistakes. And if you're into the game like you should be, mental mistakes should be at a minimum every single night. The physical stuff, hey, that's all going to happen. We're all human. We're going to make errors. We're going to strike out. But the other part of the game is lack of concentration as far as I'm concerned. When you see guys not knowing how many outs there are, or guys hitting a ground ball to short and halfway they break it down, there's no need for that. The easiest thing to do on a baseball field is to give 100%. I try to tell these young kids, all the other stuff's hard. The easiest thing to do is play hard and hustle and respect your teammates and respect the other team. And that's basically when Charlie and I get together, that's all we talk about is baseball. We're baseball lifers. We love the game of baseball. And even though it's hard to watch now, I still love the game of baseball. Now, some of the things that are happening I don't like, but I still love the game of baseball.
Well, we hope that people keep their head in the game as much as you do, and always appreciate the time you give us to break these things down. Larry, thanks so much for joining us, and you take care of yourself.
All right, guys, you take care and have a great day.